Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to you all on this Sunday evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome on behalf of Purpose Journey Counseling, LLC, New Beginnings. We are here on this Sunday evening. We want to say good evening to each and every one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday, July the 13th, I believe. Yes, the 13th. This month has been going so fast, it's really hard to know what day it is, but we want to welcome you this evening. My name is Dr. Ntatu North, and I am the owner and one of the therapists at Purpose Journey Counseling, LLC, which is located in Cincinnati, Ohio. Thank you so much again for tuning in. We are live. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube, and we are in the process of posting the YouTube link on Instagram. So if you can just take just a few moments to please like the broadcast, follow us on your preferred social media platform, please. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and share. Now, we always talk about engaging and interacting in the comment section, but this evening we're doing something a little bit different. We're always interactive for our podcast, but definitely going to be very interactive on this evening. So we're asking for you to participate, ask questions. We're going to be talking about some interesting things this evening. And if you have some comments you'd like to make, of course, respectfully, things like that, questions that you may have, you want us to discuss, please put it in the comment section and let us know you are here. So we see some people coming in. Good evening, sir. Good evening, Chris. Hello, and good evening to you again. You've already been greeted and welcomed by your TT. And good evening, Deacon Husband, that is. Good evening. And he said hola. And okay, well, let us know you're here. Let us know you are here in the comment section as we're coming on. I don't know about you. I'm excited because this is just going to be great. It's definitely going to be great this evening. So we're still sharing, we're posting, you're letting us know that you are here in the comment section. So for those of you who are maybe your first time tuning in, you might be like, okay, what's Purpose Journey Counseling LLC? Well, we are a mental health private practice. We are located in Cincinnati, Ohio, and we provide individual, family, and couples counseling. Apparently my dog wants to be a part of the podcast on this evening. So we'll see how he does. But we do work with children, we work with adolescents, and we work with adults starting at about the age of 5. No cap on older age, but we do start at about the age of 5 when we provide those services. So, and at Purpose Journey Counseling, we do believe that it is okay to have Jesus and a therapist too. So that is definitely our motto. So before we go any further, good evening, sis. Thank you for tuning in this evening. I want to share the number for the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. This number is 988. Now, this number is to be used in case of any type of mental health emergency. Maybe you're not sure if you should call 911. You're not exactly sure what to do, but this number actually has representatives that are available to talk 24/7. And you can call this number and you can also text this number. So please make sure you have this number available in your phone so that you can have this in case you may be experiencing some type of mental health emergency, or if you know someone else who is, you can definitely share this information with them. So we thank you for taking just a moment to do that. And we are all shared now. So continue to let us know that you are here in the comment section as we continue on this evening. So this is our monthly podcast, hashtag from a Christian, hashtag from a therapist with Dr. Ntatu. This is episode 25. And this evening we have entitled this podcast, Uncomfortable Conversations. It is exactly what it sounds like. So if you're wondering, like, what in the world are they talking about? We're definitely going to be talking about some topics that can be uncomfortable to discuss. However, it is necessary to discuss them. So I'm going to bring on our co-host, and then we're going to give a couple of disclaimers, clarifications. So as we get ready to tune in this evening. So we are going to welcome our co-host, Ms. Kia Cannon.
Hello.
Evening.
Hey.
Thank you for always being here. I'm not gonna say just joining us. You're always here. So
Always.
you're always here. So we do always appreciate you. So this evening, Kia and I will be discussing things from our own personal perspectives, but most importantly, from a Christian perspective. So uncomfortable conversations, difficult topics, things that might be considered maybe taboo sometimes, or we don't really know what's the right or wrong way. They can be, sometimes people can have differing opinions, differing views on things, but that's what we will be discussing this evening. He is really happy to see you. He's very happy to see you. So that's what we'll be doing this evening. So Kia, did you want to say anything else as your own personal prelude
I
to what?
will just say, not that this is ever an issue when we have these conversations, but just be prepared for us to be real. And we would love for you guys to jump in and participate and engage with us too. If you have suggestions about some topics that we may not touch on that may be deemed uncomfortable, feel free to let us know. We'll get into it.
Yes, we will do our best. But yes, we're going to be real. Definitely going to be real. Um, and we appreciate any. He's
Who does it?
excited. He's excited. Thanks, Bridget. So, because like we said, we are coming from everything from a Christian perspective, and this is a Christian podcast. We're going to have our scripture for this evening to kind of guide our conversation. It's coming out of Philippians chapter 1, verses 9 through 11. I'm reading it out of the NIV. And it says, "This is my prayer, that your love may abound more and more in knowledge and depth of insight, so that you may be able to discern what is best and may be pure and blameless for the day of Christ, filled with the fruit of righteousness that comes through Jesus Christ, to the glory and praise of God." So, utilizing this as we're answering these questions, um, definitely. Good evening, bro. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for always being here as well. Always tuning in. But that is our how we're starting things. We'll definitely say that. But we are definitely Christian women, and we're speaking about these different topics from that perspective. So, as Kia has stated, and I've stated also, feel free to dialogue with us in the comment section. We want this to be very, very interactive. Obviously, we'll be leading the conversation, but feel free to ask questions. If there's something that you want to ask about and you don't know if we're going to ask it, ask us, and we'll start to dialogue. So, all righty, well, let's get uncomfortable. So, first question that we will be answering this evening is pertaining to common sense. Is it common? Kia, would you like to start?
Sure. Um, you would like to think so, but one of my favorite quotes that I've ever read in life: common sense is not a flower that grows in everyone's garden. Um, Part of that, I think, is just the definition of common. Common is, it just means like it's understood across the board. Everybody has different perspectives, everybody has a different way of looking at things. So, common sometimes can be hard to come to, but what I think what most of us generally call common sense, some folks still struggle with. Um, yeah, I think I think the struggle becomes what your definition of common is. What's commonly accepted? What makes the most sense? What most people accept? So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, I would have to agree. I used to think there was a such thing as common sense. Um, Now I wouldn't call it common sense. I might just say you act like you don't have any sense. Or can you behave like you have some sense about yourself? Kind of have to reword it, because I agree. I think because we do all come from different backgrounds, what's common to me is not common to you. And even what's common for us at our ages, that I won't say at our ages, it was not necessarily common way back when. So, when we were younger, we were children or even teenagers or even maybe even young adults. It wasn't necessarily common. And depending on what your context is, it's not going to be like something that's well known. It can't be, because if my experiences are different than yours, then the way you perceive things and the kind of way you think about things is going to be different than the way I do, because we don't have that in common, whatever our context. So it can't necessarily. Here we go. Most folks don't have good sense. Well,
I was going to say that you could kind of replace common with good, but even that has its gray areas, because some people learned that some things are good and some people learned that they're not. So while I would love to believe that there is a baseline across the board that's like, yeah, this is right, this is wrong, this is okay, this is not, this is accepted, this is unacceptable, there's so much wiggle room just because of so many different lived experiences. It's hard to say my good sense or what makes sense to me may not make sense to the next person, and vice versa. But in order for a society to kind of function, you do have to have some baseline. It's just sometimes there's a lot of wiggle room and a lot of gray area even around that baseline.
That's true. And I would even talking through this, I'm like, I don't even know if I would use sense at all. Like, does that make sense? I might have to ask, is it logical?
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, my sense of logic and yours still might not be the same, because we don't process information the same. Like, we just don't. I mean, I can say that it doesn't make sense or good sense, or it's not common sense to walk outside in the wintertime in shorts. But for you, it might not bother you.
Right.
So is it common? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it logical? I don't know. But I just think it's interesting, because I just know, like, well, common sense tells you this. I just know we heard that a lot before, and now most people say, yeah, common sense is not common.
Because it's just not overly, like, across the board accepted. Like, there's nothing, or there's very little that's accepted across the board as this is what it is. A lot of times when you're talking about anything, there might be the understanding that A equals A. Then it's like, well, what if A is A minus B? It could somehow turn around and come back to like, okay, while I can see how you got there, I kind of feel like we have the same understanding for the most part. You just might have taken a different logical track to get there than I did, but the baseline is the same.
Yeah. So if the baseline is the same, it kind of could be common, maybe.
It's hard. It's hard to explain and hard to understand.
I like this.
Okay.
Jesus is good. If you aren't following his commonality, then you ain't got good sense. I got Peter sense. Yeah, Peter. Yeah, you do. Peter
thought it made sense to cut somebody's ear off. Ma'am. That doesn't make good sense to me, but it made perfect sense to Peter.
Peter. We'll go with Peter's sense then for you, Bridget. And I don't know.
But if you think about that example, there was a reason that he thought that made sense to do. Would that have been the extreme that everybody went to? Probably not. But the baseline understanding was, hey, bro. The baseline was understanding there was an issue that needs to be rectified. You deserve to get your ear cut off. Okay, I might not say get your ear cut off, but I will acknowledge that there's an issue. There's the commonality. But how you kind of work with it might be the difference.
Yeah. And I mean, if you think about this just in general, if you're not following Jesus, like if you're not, then it's wrong. Like, I mean, you could be saying, speaking of right and wrong, but is that common? Because if we're Christians, yes, then it would be common sense for us that if it says thou shalt not kill, so we know we're not supposed to do that. That's common for us as Christians, but those who are not Christians or don't follow Christ, it might not be common for them, because that might not be. I can't with Bridget. It might not be common. And I'm not saying, and I get the good sense thing, but again, I think it still depends on your background. I mean, what is your context? What do you believe?
Where there's a shared context, I think there can be more common sense.
Right. Yeah. But again, there has to be, I agree, there has to be some shared context for it to be common. So, well, common folk do this. Do they?
Right.
And what is, and like you said earlier, what is common? That's why I don't like the word normal, because what is normal? What does that even mean? A normal person with this. Well, what is
really normal? And how dare you insult me like that? What is that?
Because I wouldn't call myself normal then. I mean, I wouldn't call myself. I don't care what anybody else said, but I know I'm not. So whatever.
No. Because normal implies that everybody's doing it. Well, everybody's not.
Right.
Just because it's, and even if the majority were, that doesn't mean it's okay, therefore normal. It just means a lot of people are doing it.
Right.
That's not okay.
Clearly, because sin is normal, but it's wrong. We all sin, but we shouldn't. And that could be common sense too, but so I don't know. I think there's a lot of gray area. I don't think common sense is black and white as it's been perceived or portrayed, I should say, to be over the years. At least in my lifetime, I always thought common sense was common sense, but now the older I get, I'm like, probably not.
But even then, if you think about it, that was context too. As we were growing up, we were learning what was common sense within our formative years, our formative circle. What is normal? What is common here? As you get older and you get exposed to different perspectives, it's like, okay, what's common to me and my family might not be common to you and your house, but is there something shared that's at least like, okay, I won't hurt you, you won't hurt me. Can we agree on that?
Right.
From there, perspectives just shift.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Honestly, majority rule sucks. Look at 45 to 40.
Hey, man. Hey.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna agree with you, but
we're not disagreeing on that one. Not at all. So, is common sense common? Uh-oh. Common sense says, how do we get here amongst most that are common to me?
We said we were getting into uncomfortable conversations. I don't know if that was the pool that we were going to dig.
Right. Yeah. We'll just say, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we won't go down that rabbit hole because that's a hole. And if we go down that hole, we won't come back. So,
and I will still say, even with that, it depends on what you call common. That's the only way I can explain it. What's common to us may not be common to somebody else.
Right.
That's the only thing I can say about that without getting into the weeds.
Yeah. And you'll have to apologize, Bridget. I would just go back. I would go back to saying, to me, common sense in my context says we love one another. So that's kind of addressing that. We love one another. To me, that's common sense. But for some people, that's not their context. Who love one another because either they don't read their Bible or they don't believe it or they just, that's not how they were raised. So I'm not putting Lamar's comment up there. Uncomfortable conversations make me want to knock over. Well, that's part of the reason why we need to have uncomfortable conversations, because they need to happen. That's why we're doing this. So we wanted to start with that question because that was just a good starter. So now we're going to get into some more more specific situations. So here we go. We go to the next one. You good with the next one? All righty. Is it okay, i.e. acceptable, to speak to someone's child in the presence of a parent or parents you don't speak? Oh, your face just changed. You want me to go first this time, or you want to go first?
Sure, you can go first.
when we were talking, okay, so when we were doing this question, it was worded a little bit differently. So I actually had to think about the question and reworded the question because initially is it okay to speak to the child if you don't speak to the parent in general? And I think I had to come up with a different response than if you're in the presence of the parent or parents that you don't speak to. So I'll give my politically correct answer first. If it's an unsafe situation for either the child or the other parent in context, do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. But I would say, I know they need to have them, but doesn't mean I need to like it. Exactly. I have okay. Put myself in the side. I would not speak if I'm speaking to a child and they're with an adult that I don't speak to for whatever reason. I'm not going to address the child because to me that would be disrespectful to acknowledge to speak to a minor. We're talking about a minor child, not your grown kid, a minor child. If I'm going to speak to a minor child and they're in the presence of their parent or parents, then if I can't acknowledge the parent, then I'm not speaking to the child. That's just me. I just think there's a certain level of respect for one's offspring. And again, context is everything. And I think there are several situations in which it might not be the best, and safety always comes first. But and if on the flip side, if it's mine and I'm there and you don't desire to acknowledge me, then I would prefer you don't acknowledge my children. God bless you. That's my response.
You said that so much faster than I was going to.
I tried. That's a trigger. So I tried, but go ahead.
Because my immediate response was, I wish you would. I wish you would acknowledge my child in my presence and act like you don't see my child's mother. You will not. It's for me, it's a level of respect and maturity. If you can't get over yourself enough in front of a child to just part your lips to say hello. I'm not saying we got to chat. I'm not saying we got to kiki. None of that. Mm-hmm. If my children are watching me deal with people that I don't like, I don't want to show them that it's okay to treat people. There's that too.
I like that comment. Okay, sorry.
But if I'm showing my children if I'm modeling to my children how to treat people, first of all, if you're in a room with adults, you better part your lips to say hello. Mm-hmm. Unless, again, it's a safety issue, bigger concern. Mm-hmm. You are expected to speak. Mm-hmm. If I'm not modeling that to my child, what am I expecting of them? Whether I like you or not, if my child knows you, if my child knows you, even if they kind of have a hint of the situation, which I never want my children to, like, I don't want my kids to feel tension between me and anybody else because it's not their problem. That's not for them to deal with. So it's up to me to kind of humble myself a little bit and be like, all right, I don't have to have a full-blown conversation with you, but how you doing? And keep it moving. And I would expect the same because you're in front of the children. Now, if you can't do that, don't say nothing. Just keep it moving. Don't say nothing to either one of us. But if you choose to speak to my child, you better part your lips to acknowledge me. If you don't, there is a problem because then you're modeling disrespect of my children's mother to my child. That'll never be acceptable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, all of that. This comment right here, I'm not trying to call you out, but this comment right here summed up everything. If you because look, let's be honest, and this is Christian Ntatu. If you don't like me, I probably don't like you either. And that's okay. That is okay. We don't have to like each other.
We don't.
But it does go back to modeling us. It is modeling for our children. How does this person and this person, who obviously they both know, how do they interact, even whether they do happen, unfortunately, to know details, because sometimes they do know why adults aren't speaking, or if, they don't know anything. Why does so-and-so do this. Why, when they're around, they don't even talk to each other. They don't even look at each other. They just go separate directions, and there's no interaction. To me, that isn't appropriate for our kids. And again, I would personally prefer if you don't. Let's see, we even go deeper. If you don't like me, how can you then? Because they're part of me.
They're an extension of me. Make it make sense.
Exactly.
Then you see me, you see her. You see her, you see me. What are we doing?
And that's it. Like, again, like you said, it doesn't have. And actually, I don't want to have a long conversation because, again, in all transparent, if you don't like me, I probably don't like you either, and that's okay. We are not told that we have to like each other. We are supposed to love each other. I can love you with the love of the Lord from over there, so you can stay over there. Me and my kids over here, and then we do what we got to do. We do what we got to do. But I just, it's modeling. It, to me, it is extremely disrespectful. And I mean, I've been in a situation before, and because I'm probably too nice, don't say anything, and just kind, because also I have to think about modeling for my children. Didn't want to have a conflict in front of them because that's also not something that I would like them to see. However, and we'll get into, sometimes it's hard to have conversations with people that you know is not going anywhere. So we got a bunch of.
I've had situations, unfortunately, more than I'd like to admit, where that's been the case. Like, especially when it comes to elders. Like, if I'm teaching my kids to respect their elders, they have to see me do it too. Respect doesn't necessarily mean that I like you. But if I'm telling you, when you come in the room, you speak to your elders, what do I look like doing anything different? I can't expect my kids to do anything I'm not willing to do.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
I'm their first model. If I'm telling you to do this, I have to show you how. And if I can't, that's a separate conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, if you just can't do it, you can't do it. And then you just have that conversation with your, like, have a conversation with the kids later. Like, so why didn't you guys talk? Here's why. We'll talk about how to handle that later. But in my presence, if you feel the need to part your lips, you better part them to speak both of us. Period.
Yeah, because it's just, and I went back and forth on it because I'm like, is it me? Am I in my feelings? Like, because we're not, again, we're Christians. We're Christians. Christians first. I don't want to operate in my feelings. So that is not what we are called to do. We're talking about using wisdom. We're talking about discernment. We're talking about all of that. And I just also have a hard time with, if I know you mean me no good, it's hard for me to see how you mean my children any good, because again, they are a part of me. So I don't know. This one is a trigger. It's a trigger. But you know,
to me, it's a hello. It's not even,
like Bridget said, a wink. Just wink. You could be like,
an acknowledgement. Like, don't act like you don't see me.
You see me because you see them. So you are.
And that's just across the board. Like, don't walk past, my pet peeve is, do not walk past me, look me in the face, and not say nothing. Hello. We both see each other. You can acknowledge that I'm here.
That's it.
Situation, whether you like me or not, in front of my kid, you're not trying to have a full-blown conversation. We're not catching up. We're not shooting the breeze. It's just acknowledgement of one adult to another. That shouldn't be that difficult.
No, because acknowledgement in that sense is respect. Like you talk about speaking, it's just respect. But I think that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes you don't respect the other person. So you feel as if, or think it's okay to ignore them because you don't respect them. So that's when it gets to a different stance for me. Because if I'm not like overly reactionary when it comes to disrespect, but that is something that, and y'all always say, I'm so nice, I'm so mild-mannered. When it comes to my kids, that's a different level of disrespect. So that's different. I wanted to read with this. I keep my peace. I try to avoid all conversation, because when there is conversation, the anger and bitterness that still exists from the other party comes out. To avoid the feelings and lack of like between us, I try my best to limit all interaction. No acknowledgement here, big dog. And then what do you say? You have to use wisdom. Yeah, no, and I agree. I agree. And hold on, if I don't speak to me, don't talk to my kids. Period. That's just kind of how I feel. And my parents won't let you get away with it. And I'm here, and that I was gonna thank you. I was gonna get to that because no, I'm not gonna talk about petty. I would just say some kids would say something like, "You ain't speak to my mama." Like some kids would do that. You speak to my daddy. Like some kids actually might do that. I agree, Q. You do have to use wisdom, and that's what we're talking about. And that's what I'm saying. Like if it's not a good situation, it's not a good situation. But I'm talking about when you just being disrespectful because you feel as if you can, or the other person is just like, I'm just not gonna speak to you because I just don't like you. But your children are standing right here, and I'm gonna hug them.
I bet you won't. Listen, if you can't even make eye contact, you
ain't. You might be. Go ahead. You might be, bro. Go ahead. What'd you say? Sis?
I was saying, if you can't even make eye contact, you better not touch. Fall back.
Yeah, because that don't work for me. I'm just, and we just speaking like we, Q, you might be a little petty sometimes. You might be a little bit, but I get it. Like I get it. I get it. Like in certain situations, it's not best. It's not, and we have to use discernment. You have to use wisdom. You have to be able to do it and respond and not react. That's the other thing. Thinking before we actually engage or not. You have to be able to do that in a situation. However, as for me and my house, if you don't like me and you see me and you see my kids, don't speak to my kids. Just don't say nothing. Speak to them maybe when I'm not around then, but don't do it in my face.
That part.
I'm just saying, can I say dislike and having a disagreement with is two different things?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We can disagree, but if I know that you like are heartless, like I can't stand you, don't even want to see you breathe type stuff, why are you talking to my kid? Like, why would you have anything to say to my kid?
You want something to happen to me so they don't have a mom?
Right. Like, you couldn't like my kid that much if that's how you feel. So, no. But a disagreement that I don't think, for me, a disagreement shouldn't stop you from being able to speak to somebody else.
I agree. Yeah, disagreement, because that's just like, that could be petty. A disagreement could be. But yeah, this right here, title, but that's a lot of times what I think adds complexity because of a title. Because it can be in-laws, and let's face it, in-laws don't always get along because the people who are married may love each other, like each other, they gonna ride or die, period. But that doesn't mean that the families, like the spouses or the other families, that there can be issues there. And for the sake of not being completely petty, I'll just say it is very, very possible that there can be issues in those situations. See, here I go again with this tone. If I have this tone, that means I'm definitely watching my words. So yeah, there can be issues there. I just believe that if it's unsafe, and again, context is everything, it absolutely is. So I'm not suggesting that if it's a dangerous situation or if it's, something that's really, really like bad, I'm not saying that you gotta, and sometimes when it's co-parenting, sometimes it's a very volatile situation and the kid is being but even that I think is a little bit different too, because the kid belongs to both of us at that point. Well, the kid really belongs to God, but God gave us the kid. So at that point, I ain't really talking about that either. I'm talking about you've decided that, or we just don't like each other for whatever reason. If I'm with my kids, just leave them alone. Just don't say nothing. That's just me. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. If you don't rock with me, you can't rock my back. I mean, they come on now, period. But we all have had disagreements and have not spoken to each other, but embraced the babies. That's different.
Disagreements are different. Because I disagree with you, it doesn't mean I dislike you. It means I might not like a decision that you made. I might not like the way you're talking about stuff. But just because we disagree on something doesn't mean I dislike you.
No.
But if you like are heartless with it, like you just dislike me, if I dislike you, I don't feel like it's right to speak to your kid either for the same reason. Your kid is an extension of you. What I look like.
Right.
What I look like being in your face telling you, yeah, I'm cool with you, but I'm not cool with your mama.
Right. Like, oh, your mama over there, and they don't know you be my mom over there. You be like, yeah.
I see her.
What you gonna say? Well, I ain't talking to her, or I'll talk to her later. Come on now. No.
Again, for me, it comes back to what are you modeling for the kids? If it's just an unsafe, volatile situation, that's different. But if it's literally just in passing, just, we happen to be in the same space. Yo, hello.
Yeah, yes, sis. God bless you. Yeah. I just feel like you're right. Wait, hold on. All the comments coming back. X, yeah, I get that. That's what I'm saying. That's different. That's different. I do believe that that's different. Yeah, we deep because we are. And I get that, sis, even if you're not with your kids. I get that, but it's just like I can't control anybody, period. But I definitely can't control what happens when I'm not with my children. So, like, if you see this person out in the grocery store and you with your dad and they speak, because they gonna speak when they with the dad, but not with the mama, that's okay. No, it's not okay. But if that happened, it happened. I can't even say anything. I'm not even there. But if I'm there, just don't. That's not a threat.
Save us all the trouble.
Threat.
Just save us all the extra.
Just don't. Like, I wouldn't do it to you. I wouldn't, just because Bridget. But disagreement, dislike is different.
Yeah.
I do believe that context is everything. I'm just speaking for me. Just don't do it. I'd appreciate. And sometimes it happens. And see, that leads to another thing, because at the end of the day, when there's conflict there and dislike or disdain for somebody, the children pick up on it and they know, and then a lot of times they're going to side with the parent anyway. And then that creates a whole nother issue to me. So it just creates conflict that doesn't need to exist. Because in the sense that, let's just say it's an ex-friend that you had, they still know the kids, but y'all don't talk, or whatever the case may be, and they know there's beef there, then now the kids start it's just, I don't know, it's messy. And I don't like mess. I don't like drama. I don't like conflict. So just keep it somewhere else, we good. Just you be good over there, and I'm gonna be, like I said, I will love you with the love of Jesus Christ over there.
Go that way.
Over there. If you see me, just go the other way. I ain't gonna be mad. Actually, I appreciate it.
You saved us all the extra. Go that way.
So, all right. Well, I think we've exhausted that question. What do you think? I'm gonna just trigger. We're gonna just move forward. Oh, we got one more comment. Yes, that because sometimes that invites kids into adult situations. Exactly. And it's not about being fake, but again, it's about modeling. And even if they kind of see or know something, if I can model to my children that I can still be mature in a situation, even if there's some issues there, just like they don't have to like all the kids at school, but they got to respect all the kids at school. They don't have to like them. They don't, but you can't just be disrespectful because you don't like somebody either. That's really not appropriate either. So whatever. We'll move on, because I can talk about this all day and I'm not going to change my mind. So we'll move on to the next question. So next question. Is it okay for a man's girlfriend to do his child's hair, or a woman's boyfriend to cut her son's hair? However you want to look at it. If so, is the permission of the other parent needed?
What is my life, Dr. Ntatu? Okay.
You go first on this one.
I feel like some of the tension that comes from this type of question starts with the relationship between the parents. Mm-hmm. As a co-parent for both of my children, it becomes an issue of, for lack of a better phrase, knowing your place. Because sometimes it might feel like you're stepping into the parent's role which causes a very, like, it automatically kind of puts a guard up when somebody feels like you're trying to replace them or do something that you should be doing for your child. So I feel like before you can even get to should their significant other be doing this or that for the child, the parents, all of them, the co-parents as well as any spouses, significant others, have to have that baseline of respect first. But I do feel like there are some things that these non-co-parenting spouse or significant other, yeah, ask that question first because you don't know how the other parent is going to receive it. So particularly about hair, um, as my sister will attest to, I'm not the greatest at doing hair, ma'am. Like I don't do hair. I had a girl, was not expecting to have to learn how to do her hair. So there would be times when, yeah, she would leave me and she would come back with her hair braided or with her hair done. Now, if the issue was like cutting her hair or dyeing her hair or putting chemicals in her hair, because I had kind of determined that her hair is going to stay like as natural as we can for as long as we can. So no heat treatment, no chemicals, no cut, nothing. But if that was overstepped, that to me seems like a conversation because it's something more long lasting, more permanent. Just like braiding it, okay, that's a style. We can take it out if we need to, whatever. But if you're talking about a long term change, a long term update, something that may potentially go against something that I may have wanted for my child, any of that, just ask the question before you do it. That's it. Like, do you mind if? Is it okay if? Now, the only other caveat I would put with that, I've seen a scenario, I guess, on Facebook where the kids were all going somewhere and the co-parented child, their hair wasn't done or wasn't cut, didn't look as, I guess, as presentable as the children, as the rest of the children in the home. So the stepmom took upon herself to do the co-parented child's hair. Mom got upset about it. That scenario, I don't think I would be upset about it because I would rather you step in to do that rather than take my child with you and everybody else looks presentable or everybody else is put together and you left my child looking out here looking a mess. I would rather you treat my child like your own than to leave my child out because you didn't want to talk to me about it.
Yes, I agree. Just trying to put some of the comments up there. I think it's definitely a conversation. Period. Flat out. Like it's all about communication and conversation. Because if I know I don't have this situation, however, it's just if you want to do the haircut, I mean, those are conversations we should just have. And my thing is, if we even sat down and said, like, these are kind of my parameters on what, like, if it's a girl, like no color, no cut, whatever. And you just say, oh, is it okay if I braid her hair sometimes? Da, 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 or if it's, whatever the situation may be. It's all, to me, it's all communication. I know I wouldn't, like I said, I can't say I'm in the situation, but if I was, then just ask. I don't have a problem with that. And would it have to be necessarily every single time? I don't know. I guess it probably depends on what you're doing. But at the same time, I know I have two girls and I cannot do hair. I cannot do it. One has locks. Thankfully, I don't really have to mess with that too much. And the other one, she gets her hair braided. Why? Because mommy can't braid. So my thing is, I'm not offended. If you can do hair and I cannot, and you can help me out by doing my baby's hair, I don't have no problem with that. But yeah, if we could talk and communicate about it, I don't really think it's that big of a deal. Like, I don't. But I think sometimes the conflict comes in when there's no conversation, or sometimes people are not necessarily. Sometimes it's petty. Sometimes I just think it's petty. Like you said, if they're getting ready to go somewhere and your child's hair is not done because you didn't do it or it's just not done, and they want to make sure the child's hair look good, and they just did something, they didn't cut it, they didn't do anything drastic or permanent. Why does that bother you? I need to call you to say, can I put your kid hair in a ponytail? Like a neat one? because it was messy. I don't know. I think in that situation, communication is everything. Yeah, I think in that, the only people who have issues are those who that are trying to control other parent. Period.
That,
I'm done.
that right there.
Right. You're right, though. You're right. You're right.
But again, unless it's something that is just completely averse to any kind of value that you have for your kid, those things should be discussed anyway. Like, I would be upset if my child came home with a 30-inch weave down her back. Hold on. My child is 14. Absolutely not. But if it's something simple or if it's something just to help out, okay. Just communicate it with me. Just
Right.
this is what was going on, so I got her hair braided. This is what was going on, so I got his hair cut. Okay.
Right. Just like kind of like Q said, like that's something that's been spoken that, that's his preference that his son's hair is cut by his barber. So if there was ever any type of like a deviation from that potential deviation, then yes, there would just need to be a conversation, and then there needs to be a mutual agreement at that point that, okay, yes, so and so, or no, he just gonna wait. It's all about communication. But I agree with Bridget, except for that period statement. It's just like, yeah, sometimes it's about control, and it's just that's not healthy for the child. It's not healthy for the situation, and it's probably not that deep with communication. But a lot of us struggle with that, and that goes back to that common question. Communication is not that common either, because apparently a lot of us struggle with just, hey, if I just send you a quick text, I don't even have to call you. Quick text would have done it. So. All right. Well, I think we're going to that question. So this one is kind of going back to the speaking thing, but this is a little bit different of a spin on it. So, is it appropriate to expect people or those close to you not to speak to someone simply because you don't speak to them?
Who does listen to this? You would speak to whoever you want to speak to.
Yeah.
I can't control who you speak to, who you hang with, who you talk to. I just know that if it gets to a point where I can't trust your judgment when it comes to me, we know, team, no new friends. We know. But if it gets to like, if I have to question whether or not you're going to cause an issue with that person talking about me, or if you're going to exacerbate a problem between me and that, like, just don't, they ain't got to be around me. I don't care if you speak to them, just don't speak about me. Don't speak about nothing about me. Don't talk about none of my situations, none of what's going on in my life. If that person does not like me, do not carry my name into y'all conversation. And don't ever make me question whether or not I should be talking to you.
Yeah. I think for me, my initial statement is no. I believe there can be some exceptions, depending on what the situation is and who. But to me, it's more, again, context and situational. Because if they're not speaking because of some, again, I'm gonna go back to safety, danger, abuse, anything like that, then it's probably gonna be a no from. Well, I'm not gonna say probably. It would be a no for me as well. And now, if it's my husband, I'm probably not going to, because if my husband don't fool with you for whatever reason, I probably don't either. Like, just because it's just like, and I know family can be, because that can be murky. We already talked about in-laws. That could be murky. But I just believe that's a little bit different. I think for me, that's just a little bit closer, because we're one. So it's just kind of like, it's not being petty. I'm not saying, well, my husband just don't like you because y'all played basketball back in the day and da-da-da. Y'all probably won't know you anyway. But it's like, but if seriously, if y'all had like a real drag out fallout about something, then nah. And it's not even because he would expect me to. It's just because, like, no, why? For what? For what? Like, I don't really have no reason to interact with you. So husband, probably it's a done deal. In terms of other people, though, I think it's situational. I think it depends on why. But just because you don't like when people say stuff, well, it's just about something about this person I don't like, so you shouldn't talk to him either.
Right. I don't know what that something is. Whatever vibe you got, I don't like. I didn't get that vibe, or I don't know that vibe, or like. Again, that's why I'm like, if you have a vibe about a certain person, but my personal experience hasn't been that. Given family, close friends, kids, all of that, that's a different thing. That's why I started off with there's levels to this. But if it's just in general, like, hey, I don't know that person. I can speak to them. I'm not going in depth about my life, but I can speak to them just because I'm not bringing up nothing that should cause a problem.
Right.
I think, like you said, it goes back to why. Why is there an issue?
Right.
If there's an issue that is deep seated, it's personal. Okay. It's like if it's something truly detrimental, I hear you. Like, you hurt them, you hurt me. We good. I ain't gotta say nothing to you. But
that's different. That's different.
No, that's what I started out saying. Like, don't bring my name into none of that.
You're not doing that.
No.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And if I ever have to wonder if you are bringing me up in a conversation with, first of all, anybody, secondly, somebody I don't like, that's a no for me.
That's different. Yeah.
It's a whole no.
Yeah. And that's No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So can you finish your thought? You're about to say something.
I think that was it. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. To me, it's situational. That's different though. Like, but yeah, to be engaging with or interacting with somebody, especially like on some deeper level, and they, talking about, somebody who's that close to you, like, yeah, that's different. That's totally different. That's totally different. But just in terms, and I mean that even, to be honest, sits different. Even if it's family, for me, that's still a tough one for me, because I've had to distance myself from sometimes my own family or whatever because of the level of, again, disrespect, particularly as it pertains to my spouse. I mean, I'm just being honest, because that's my husband, especially if you're wrong, like, and you're wrong. So that's different. But no, I do believe with this question, though, it is very much situational. I mean, my point is just, I'm not just not speaking to somebody because you just like, I just don't like him. I don't like her. Well, why not? What happened? I don't know. I just don't like him. Okay, well, that's not really necessarily my issue, depending, again, on the situation. But, and again, it might just be a, hey, hello, what's up? Like, you might not be cool with the person. Or like, I just know I had two of my closest friends now didn't like each other way back when. They didn't. I ain't gonna say their names. But that was before they knew me. And then when they both realized they knew me and they was both in the same circle, they actually are like besties. So it's just like, but if either one of them would have said, hey, Ntatu, don't talk to her because we got into it in high school, what would our circle look like now? I'm not calling no names. They might be on here, but I ain't gonna call them names.
I think what Q was saying goes back to what I was saying is about don't make me question. Because if you're talking to me, or if they're talking to you about me, then I'm wondering what made them so comfortable with you? What made them comfortable enough to even have that conversation with you about me? That's okay. If I have to question that, then I ain't got nothing else to say to you.
That's true. That reminds me of what was just preached today. He said, when you come back and say they said, well, what made they so comfortable coming back to you saying anything about this person? If we rocking and we rock hard, then that means nobody would come to me like, Kia is my sister. We know this. So why would anybody come to me and talk about her? Like, that shouldn't happen.
And if they do, what are you doing about it?
It shouldn't.
What are you saying to them? If somebody comes to you about me, what are you saying to them? What is your response to them? Are you defending me or are you co-signing? If you co-signing, I got nothing else to say to you, dude. Keep going.
That's what I'm saying. They shouldn't even feel comfortable. They shouldn't. They shouldn't feel comfortable to come to you with an issue about them, because why would they do that? They know y'all like this, then why would they do that? But I agree with this too, sis. It's their issue, not yours. And that's what I'm saying. In a lot of situations, it's just like people mad because you talking to somebody you don't like. It's like, well, again, situational. But if it gets to a point where it becomes disrespectful on this end, or then that's when I think it's more like, okay, well, yeah, no, I'm not doing that, because that's not, like, we talk about circles and things like that. We wouldn't allow that to happen, because no, that's just not gonna happen. But again, they shouldn't even feel comfortable. They shouldn't.
Again, don't make me have to question you.
Yeah.
And we good. Like, if I have to question whether or not you're really my friend, then we ain't got nothing else to talk about for real.
Right.
And something like that would strongly make me question. Oh, so you willing to listen to somebody trash talk me and not defend me, but you're supposed to know me. You're supposed to know me better. Okay. So you're okay with letting people, okay.
Right.
Good.
Yeah, that's different. That's totally different thing. So, okay. Well, we're gonna move on to the next question. I'm actually going to, I don't know what that, right? If they feel comfortable someone is being fake. Probably. Like, yes, she is. She be on here preaching all the time. She do. She do. I'm just saying.
I don't know how I feel about people.
Yeah. So yeah, we know how you. I see, and I love people. I don't like everybody, but I love people, because that's what we're supposed to love. We don't have to like, but that doesn't give me a license to disrespect anybody. It doesn't. I don't have to do that. I can just not like you. Like I said, I will love you with the love of Jesus from over there. So I think I'm gonna skip the. We probably gonna have to hold off on some of these for September. Yeah, we'll talk about that. So here's a good one for all us saved folk. Handling conflict with individuals, and I said individuals, not the whole, an individual in the church. Should we, and how should we? I'm gonna give a simple answer for this one. Yes, we should. Matthew 18 gives a very good description of how to do so. In terms of going to the person, if that doesn't work, you got to bring somebody else. If that don't work, you got to bring, there are ways to do it. I think when it comes to the church, we treat it differently for some reason, as if, it becomes something like, almost like it's not the real world. Like, it's like I don't know, like, it's just weird. It's hard to describe it, but we treat it like it's this isolated thing over here, and we just have to do this, and it has to be this, and it has to be that. And it's like, that's why a lot of times, there's so many issues, because we have individual conflict. And I'm not even talking about specifically like ministry related stuff. I mean, just people, like how we talk to people, or how we handle or mishandle people in church. That's what I'm talking about. Not necessarily the entire system, but Matthew 18 speaks to it specifically. It tells us. So we shouldn't treat conflict with an individual in the church, differently. Technically, Matthew 18 applies to the church and applies outside of the church too. So we should be able to do that in both environments. But that's my short answer. You can go ahead.
I didn't have anything to add, because we just had this conversation a few months back. We literally sat down and had whole classes on this. And that was one of my first questions. Like, I don't even know how to start this. Like, I know when issues need to be addressed, that we should address them head on so that they don't continue and they don't fester, they don't get bigger. But what do you do when you run into a roadblock? And like you said, Matthew 18 kind of outlines exactly how to go about it, whether it's within the church or outside of the church. I think what you were saying about treating the church like it's some isolated area, we're still all people. We still have feelings, emotions, conflict. Like, we're still all people within the church. So there has to be a way to handle conflict, because there's always going to be some type of conflict. Conflict doesn't go away just because you step inside the sanctuary. It's still there. So we have to find a way to deal with it. And yes, Matthew 18 does outline how. It doesn't always work out that way, though. And that's where it gets tricky, is when you try to do it the right way, but you kind of get stonewalled, or you kind of run into a roadblock, and it's like, all right, when do I just chalk this one up? And for me, it's just like, when I've done all I can do to resolve this conflict, if I know that I've done my best and I've attempted to resolve it with you, my resolution is that I've done all I can.
Right.
Even if that means, again, I love you from over there. I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the point. I just think a lot of times we skip the addressing part, and we go straight to, I'm gonna love you from over here, or I don't deal with you at all, and I'm just not gonna, whatever. And it shouldn't matter. It's like to Q's point, it shouldn't matter who it is. I'm not saying it doesn't, that it doesn't happen, but that's my point. We have to be able to do that, because what you said, Kia, when you said we're still humans, we're still people. We also have feelings. We have feelings. They should be acknowledged. That doesn't mean we should be operating in our feelings. However, feelings get hurt or stuff happens, and we shouldn't say, well, you and your feelings, so we're not going to deal with it. Well, I have a right to be upset about something you said. I don't have to like what you say. And that doesn't mean that I can't tell you that, because we're at church. We should be able, because we're at church, we call ourselves Christians. We should be able to operate in the Holy Spirit and be able to have a holy conversation. Sometimes we may not sing holy, but there's nothing wrong. It is biblical to address it. The problem is things don't get addressed, and we just don't like each other, and we're just nasty. Mm. And that part is not okay. Hold on. Most people at church forget they are Christian when dealing with conflicts. I'm very guilty of this. I get that. Because we're still human. It goes back to that, we're wrestling with that flesh part and the Holy Spirit. Like, we're constantly wrestling with that. But I think if we were to be able to practice more of operating in the Holy Spirit, even when it's an uncomfortable situation or there's a conflict, then it gets better with time. That's what I would just say. And some situations I think are more complicated than others, to be completely honest. I don't think everything is, y'all. We should. Yeah, we're gonna try. Yeah.
Those were holy hands, right, sis?
What'd you say?
So those were holy hands, right?
Or holy hands, yes. Were those holy hands? Holy fists? Like fist pump for Jesus, like because he's mighty, like fist pump. No? Okay. Maybe you can clarify. But
to what Q said, he's still working on all of us. Like, I'm guilty of it too, in multiple different types of conflicts. I think for me, it depends on how deep the conflict cuts. Because when
thank you for your honesty.
If I feel like I'm getting, like, if you're cutting me to the core, that filter that says, hey, I'm going to treat this as a loving Christian, is gone. Like, once you get to really hurting me deeply, which is not hard that part, so I throw hands. But if you get to the part where you've hurt me to the point where I drop my filter, that's where it gets difficult to come back. But if it's just a standard surface level conflict, that filter kicks in a little bit more easily than if I'm like, it depends on the level of hurt from the conflict for me.
I agree. Good at receiving grace and not giving. It's easy to remove yourself from a person than address it. It's not right, but easy. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I see it a lot, and I see it a lot in church too. Like, we just don't deal with people, and we are supposed to. Like, we're supposed to. We're created to be in communion with each other, and we're supposed to. Oh my goodness, hold on. Let me get my thought off. I'll put this coming up there. We're supposed to. So again, Matthew 18 gives us specific instruction. You know, the Bible even talks about anger and not letting the sun go down on our anger. It says you can be angry, but do not sin. You know, there's a lot of, you know, nuances there, but the point is that we have to handle it. That's the issue. We oftentimes do not do that. So then it just creates more issues. And then you got all of these negative spirits floating around, you know, amongst the people because we're not addressing something you said to me 5 years ago or something I did to you 10 years ago. And we can't see eye to eye. We can't even work together because we just never resolved it. Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like it. But
see, here's my thing about avoiding conflict. If you know anything about me, you know I'm a Marvel fan. There's a quote from Age of Ultron that has stuck with me my entire, like, ever since I saw it. Thor is looking at Ultron destroying everything. And he's like, if you believe in peace, then let us keep it. Ultron responds, I think you're confusing peace with quiet.
There's a difference.
Huge difference. Like, just because, like, you can avoid something all day, that doesn't mean that it gets better. It just means it might be quiet / peaceful, but underneath, everything's still rolling. Everything's still festering, bubbling. Like, it's hard sometimes to really just let things fully go if they're not addressed. It can seem like you've gotten past it, gotten over it. I'm telling part of my life right now. It can seem like you've gotten over stuff, but it seems like as soon as the opening comes to release it, it's a geyser. Everything comes bubbling out. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you can seem calm on the surface or over it on the surface, but until you really deal with the source of it and really deal with the conflict, until it's settled, it's going to remain unsettled in you. To me.
Let's take up an offering right now in Jesus' name. I mean, well, it's the truth. Yeah, I said it was the truth because I read something before it talked about you might be trying to keep the peace around you, but what about the peace within you? And that's what you just said. Like, you try not to argue with this person, but you fuming on the inside. It's literally killing you on the inside because you want to boobop them. That's what you want to do. Not saying you should boobop them, but maybe you won't want to boobop them if you go and you try to have a conversation. Now, there are times where conversations don't work.
Think of boobop them?
Technically, I'm trying to think of my answers wisely here. We're not going to promote boo-bopping people, like hitting people. We're not going to promote that. But we will say that you got to, if you start off going to the person, and then if you got to bring somebody, and then you bring somebody else. And I mean, that would be like in a church, that would be like a hierarchy, Bridget. Like,
and can I just say, don't just bring anybody.
Yeah, because it's not just anybody. That's what I'm saying. There's a hierarchy. And if we're talking about the church specifically, there would be a hierarchy. You would go to them, then you would bring a leader, and then you would bring if it has to get to whoever the, senior leader of your church is, and if it has to escalate to that point, it does within the church. Now, if this was outside church, it might be a little bit different because who you bring with you, that could be more difficult to identify. Actually, in the church, it should be easier because you got leadership. So it should, hierarchy. But we just often don't do that. And a lot of people have conflict with a person, and that person is no, exactly. It's true, because we just don't say anything.
But meanwhile, it's tearing you apart.
Yeah. You still mad. Because that's when you keep bringing it up, or when you talk about it, you get triggered. Then that's how you know you haven't dealt with it.
It's still fresh. It's still raw. Like, if all it takes is for me to touch that spot and it hurts, maybe you need to heal that spot.
Yeah. Bridget. No.
Get your sister. Yeah,
you hit the nail on the head. I mean, if if you're done with it, then you would have no emotional response. It's just like, okay, yeah, whatever. But that's why, we should be able to identify what our triggers are, but what our issues are, period. Because you know what? The deacons and the ministers, I'm gonna need y'all to get it together. But yeah, that proves a point. Again, you might not be dealing with it on the outside but on the inside it's really eating you alive. And when we have a lot of unresolved issues, whether it's conflict or just issues in general, it's not good for us. It's just not. As we get older and we grow and we're supposed to be maturing, it's not good for us. It's definitely not good for us. So let's see. Let's do that one too. Let's do. I'm gonna do a lighter. Well, hold on. Which one you want to do?
You said lighter. There's a couple of them on here. I don't know if it's lighter person.
Some of these, because I'm looking at the time.
Yeah, because it's kind of along the same lines. How we deal with people or don't.
Tell me a question. I'm gonna pull it up.
It's one word. Ghosting.
Oh, that one. Okay.
So, and we kind of talked about this one in particular.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very much communication based. Like this question specifically is very much rooted in communication. So my answer may seem very similar to previous questions. First of all, unless it is an unhealthy, toxic, unsafe situation where just up and leaving or just disappearing is the safest, best way to go about it. Can we just be grown?
Yeah, that's my thing. Because again, you're right. Because this does go, like we spoke about this one. This one goes back to like us not addressing issues. It's like, unless it's an unhealthy, unsafe situation where you have to remove yourself from a person or a situation. Why can't I tell you why I'm not speaking to you anymore? Why again, avoiding the conflict, avoiding the conversation, avoiding dealing with the issue. Because that's a lot of times what that turns into. We just disappear. I blocking. Like this generation's new thing. Okay, bro wants to clarification where we were cool and now I just stopped talking to you. Like, and you probably blocked.
So even okay. Even that I can see different perspectives on that one, because on the one hand, I feel like at least at our age, we're a little too old to keep having to explain what is acceptable and what's not as an adult. However, I can't expect you to address an issue that I haven't made you aware of.
That go back to what Keisha said before. A lot of times you have conflict with a person and they don't even know. So how do they address it?
If I don't know what's going on, what can I do about it? Now, I'm with you, sis. Mm-hmm. But again, if it's a situation where it's just unsafe, unhealthy, okay, I get it. But if we were on reasonably decent terms, maybe if it's like the fifth time that I've brought up an issue to you, I might not feel the need to approach it again. But I would say, hey, I think I'm good. I'm gonna go this way. Whether it's a friend, whether it's a relationship partner, whatever. Like, if I have to continually come to you about the same stuff, clearly what I'm saying to you isn't important enough for you to kind of latch on to. Mm-hmm. And you're okay with hurting me, so I'm gonna go this way. Mm-hmm. But unless it's like a major red flag, like if you ever, and I really, really hope nobody's dumb enough to ever think that they can. If you think you're gonna put your hands on me, number one, you might be the ghost.
Uh-oh.
But I would have no problem walking away and not saying a word.
They might be a ghost because we prayed and then. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
Call it Halloween if you want, but they might end up being the ghost. Um, but they
We are. We praying for both of y'all. Because she did say it's always unsafe when it's
find something safe to do. I'm telling you, find something safe to do. That part. Like, if you truly care about somebody, then you would care enough to fix the issue. So if you're willing to walk away without fixing the issue, then do we still really care about it? Is it that important to us? I don't know what you're talking about, David.
I
Just,
would love it. Okay,
I
Q.
was just suggesting a Halloween costume. That's all. But
I
um,
just I just
but like I said, unless it's like a hardcore red flag like that, I'm going to say something to you. I'm not going to say it 18 times.
no.
I'm going to say something to you. If we get to number 18 and I got to bring it up again, look, I love you, but I'm out. Like this, again, clearly this wasn't important enough to you to do anything about. So I'm going to go this way. But if there's just a minor disagreement or even a disagreement where you are so upset you feel like you don't want to talk to me anymore, at least give me the opportunity to address the issue, because what'll end up happening then is you'll go create your own narrative about the issue to whoever you tell the story to. I'm very much team let whoever think whatever, but why would you then why would it be okay for you to go spend the narrative that you want when you didn't even tell me what was going on? You didn't even tell me anything, so I had the chance to fix it if I wanted to fix it. You didn't know if I had an issue. You didn't know if that was an issue for me too.
And that's my whole thing. If you have an issue with somebody and you don't address it with that person, and then you want to go tell other people the issue that you have with that person, and you've never addressed it, I'm just saying, not in an unsafe situation, a situation where all you have to do is open up your mouth and say, "Hey, I don't like this," or "I didn't like when you did that," or "I don't like how you handle that situation." If you can't say that, then you need not go to somebody else and say something about that person, because you haven't even addressed it with that person. You haven't said anything. You have not given them a chance to do. You haven't said a word. You haven't said anything. I'm sorry. That's a pet peeve. That is a pet. Like, I don't know how many times you hear what so and so said. They, here we go back with they again. Like, they said this, they said that, and I'm like, well, how come they didn't say anything? Like, I'm trying to understand why we prefer not just, I know we were talking, I think Bridget said something about it's easier to just walk away. It's easier to ghost. It's easier to just say, well, I'm just done with you. But like, we don't want to address it, but you're so mad that now you want to talk about it with everybody else. Just go to the person you had the problem with and say what you got to say. If the conversation doesn't go anywhere, then move on. That's okay. But why continue to talk about it? Because obviously you're up. Well, I don't fool with them and I don't care. You do care.
You beat them by yourself.
Talking about it.
Like, at that point, that sounds very much like a you issue. So keep it a you issue. Stop making it my problem that you mad at me over something I don't know about. That's a you problem.
Especially because sometimes things can. All right, bro. Especially when it's stuff that you can actually maybe resolve. Sometimes things can be resolved. We don't always give ourselves an opportunity to resolve it because we're mad. And I just want to be mad. And it's easier for me just be mad and go tell somebody over here that I'm mad, but I'm not going to tell you that I'm mad at you.
I'm going to make sure everybody else knows that I'm mad at you. Except you.
And then I'm going to ghost you. I'm going to block you. Because this new generation, they just block people.
That right there. A victim scenario. So are you really mad, or are you just like lapping up the attention that you're getting for an issue you created? And again, that becomes a you issue. That ain't got nothing to do with me.
Nope.
That becomes a you problem. You like the fact that people feel sorry for you because they think somebody did something to you. That ain't my problem.
It's not. It's really not. And it just I don't it grinds my gear. That's one of my pet peeves. I don't, especially at our big ages, which I will again not say, but I just believe that especially at this point in life where we are, we should be mature enough to address things.
Yes.
And I agree with you, sis. That's the thing. Like I just believe, I'm not trying to go too much. I'll say this. That is a theme. That is a theme of my life. Don't nobody ever says anything to me, but I'll hear it from somebody else. They don't ever. They don't say it with no chest to me. They'll say something else, and I'll be like, I never had a clue that that's how they felt. Why didn't they just say something?
Can I?
Is this the meme?
Yes. So,
Yeah.
like,
emoji, my bad.
If you're not close enough to me to address an issue that you have with me, do you really have it? Then you're not close enough to have an issue with me. Like, whatever issue you have is yours. Like if you don't feel like you have the pathway or the means to come to me, jeez. If you don't have the means to come to me, if you don't have access to me, then how are you close enough or how have you interacted with me enough to have a problem with me? Because if you're that close to have a problem with me, then you also have a way to communicate with me. If you can't do either one of those, then do you really have a problem with me?
That's a good point. Like that really just shut it down anyway. It's like, well, I don't even know you like that.
Right.
So how can you say it?
Like you don't like me and we've talked all of 30 seconds.
Or you heard something about this, or you just saw the one little 30-second interaction and blah 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 blah. I don't know these problems. Q. Q. All right, Q. I mean, I don't know. I just really believe that we have to do better when it comes to this. I can say ghosting or blocking, that kind of stuff. It can apply, but I just believe that a lot of it is that we are avoiding conflict. Period. We just avoid it and we don't deal with it. And then we have all these, messed up relationships. We have all this, stuff. And like we don't address it, and it's still there. So
hey, let it be your problem. If that's the route you're going to take, let it be yours. Don't make it everybody else's problem. If you have an issue, let it be your issue. If you can keep it, sorry.
No, you fine. Because I agree. I believe you when you said that really hit home to me. It's like, well, if we don't have a relationship enough to where you can address it, then we don't have a relationship. So you really can't have an issue with me because that means you don't really know me. Because if you really know me, you could have said something to me. Because if any of us in our circle, we have an issue, we're going to address it with that person because we love each other. Oh, look at that. We love each other. So we address it. So if you can't address it, that means you don't love me. We not like me close anyway.
And to me, that is a telltale sign of how much you care about somebody. Are you willing to deal with the short-term discomfort of making sure that our relationship is okay? Even if I say something to you that you might not agree with, do you care about me enough to fight through that? Do you care about me? We love you too, Q. Do you care about me enough to try to find a way out of this? Or is it enough to just say I'm done and walk away?
Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes I'm like, if you in certain situations, depending on relationship, if it's easy for you to just say you're done and you just walk away and to me, you don't value whatever this is. So in that situation, then I probably can just walk away as well. Because if you're not going to give me a reason why you just don't talk to me no more, then
love you.
Yeah, like I just that shows me how much you valued us if you can't have that conversation. To me, it's all communication. Just have a conversation. And yes, it should be respectful. Just come talk about it, and then we can move on. And even if we have to say, you know what, whatever level of relationship we have, we can't be that anymore because of whatever the situation is. That's fine. But to me, that's still mature. That's still Christian like to be able to say, you know what? We can't walk together like this. You gonna walk over there, I'm gonna walk over here, but at least we address the issue. And I can forgive you, you can forgive me, and we can go our separate ways. Doesn't mean we gotta, be buddy, but I can still love you again with the love of Jesus from over there. If I could get that with a tattoo, I love you with the love of Jesus.
Way over there.
That's just a thing. So
like the love of Jesus is long reaching, so you could go.
There we go. Way over there, because Jesus over there too. I mean, he everywhere. So you over there, I'm over here. We love each other. Goodbye. And we don't have to boop up nobody. We have to do that. Just, so, well, time is of the essence. So I think, we had some very, very good conversation. Oh, here's a good, we're going to read this one. The strongest relationships have conflict. Even jury's value is determined by pressure and not just presence, looks alone. See, preached again.
Oh, and I'm trying to be a diamond out here. Listen. Let's talk about it. It might be ugly. It might be hard in the moment. But once we get on the other side of it, we know how valuable it is because of how hard we had to fight through it. Let's do it.
Bridget, you need to go to bed.
Never.
But that is true because conflict is natural. Like we're going to have it. It's going to have it. We're going to have it. But if we don't learn how to address it, I think that's when we mishandle these relationships. And they're relationships that they really could be valuable in our lives. There really could be relationships that we're actually supposed to cultivate, but we've got to learn how to manage the conflict. Because if that wasn't the case, then we couldn't stay married. You could if you're expecting no conflict or you expect everything to just go away, it wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen. We wouldn't be able to do that in a marriage specifically. And yes, I definitely believe that because conflict, a lot of times, as you learn how to manage it, makes your relationship stronger too, because you learn how to navigate uncomfortable situations, conflict. Things I don't like this, you didn't like that. We both mishandled something. We learn how to, do it better together. And so
we don't want to touch it because it's uncomfortable. Everything you want, everything you need, everything that is important is on the other side of uncomfortable. Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
That's where you grow. And we should be trying to grow every day. So, well, sis, this has been amazing. This has been amazing per usual. We're just gonna have to wrap it up because I'm like, we'd be on here all night. I'm like, it's almost 8:30. So we do appreciate you guys engaging. This is what we wanted. Engagement this evening. And some things we didn't get to, but prayerfully, we've got some things in the works for September. So some of you all will probably be getting some somebody might be reaching out to you about some things in September. Coming up. Yes, it does. It does. So oh no, wait a minute. I was a little slow for a second, Bridget. After we sign out, go to bed. Because God bless you. So so I want you guys to mark your calendars now for our next podcast. So we're going to be taking the month of August off due to vacations. So we will not be here for a podcast. We will still have our other stuff during the week. We won't be here for the podcast in August, but our next podcast will be on Sunday, September the 7th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we will let you know what that will be. And I know that one's going to be another good one. So I am already excited about what is coming for that. So just as a reminder, we do have our Wednesday check-ins every Wednesday live at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please tune in with us on Wednesdays. We're checking in, we're being honest with ourselves about how we're doing, essentially midweek. So those are definitely valuable check-ins to do. And we appreciate all those who do the check-ins. And just know, like we said, Wednesdays we do set aside for prayer, but we are absolutely praying for you. And if you have specific prayer requests, you can always message us and let us know. So, well, I guess we got to go. I feel like there's so many more things I want to discuss, but we're just going to go ahead and lock it down for tonight. But our tag for Purpose Journey Counseling, every time we are together, we want to encourage you to be loving, be kind, be compassionate, and be intentional towards others as well as towards yourselves. And Lord willing, we will see you on Wednesday morning live for our Wednesday check-in at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We love you all. We appreciate you so much. And blessings and love to each and every one of you.